Welcome to another deep dive. This time, we're really diving into the fascinating world of this artist, Kareoba.
Kareoba.
Yeah. And you know what's so cool about this? You, our listeners, you brought him to our attention
That's
with these excerpts from this, really rich interview
yeah.
from this Wolof language blogger's site.
It is. It's really fascinating stuff.
It is, and it's got us thinking, it gives us this glimpse into Kareoba's work that he had at the Biennale d'Art de Dakar back in 2024.
A big deal.
Huge, huge. A key platform for contemporary African artists.
Absolutely.
But beyond that, it really shows his connection to Senegalese culture and the Wolof language.
For sure.
So, where do we even begin?
Well, I think for this deep dive, we're going past a simple overview.
Right.
And we're looking at the real core of Kareoba's artistic vision.
Yeah.
We'll trace those inspirations, understand his ties to Senegal, especially Casamance,
Okay.
and delve into those powerful concepts that fuel his art, particularly those Wolof words and themes of identity and interconnectedness.
Big themes.
Absolutely. And hopefully this all provides a perspective on cultural exchange.
Yeah.
And the artistic landscape.
Love it, love it. Okay, let's jump right in. Right off the bat, Kareoba uses these very specific terms when describing his work.
Yeah.
Métissage, mosaïque, and entrelacement.
Interweaving.
Exactly. And what's interesting is that he seems hesitant about using métissage,
Yeah.
as if it's been diluted or misapplied in some way.
Yeah.
What do you make of his word choices?
Well, he seems to prefer, like you said, mosaic, and especially entrelacements.
Yeah.
And while métissage suggests a fusion,
Right.
these terms point to those distinct elements, still linked, but maintaining that individuality. And this isn't just about word choice.
No.
It reflects the recurring imagery in his paintings, the threads, wefts, knots,
Yeah.
that thread of history, like he calls it.
It's almost like the weaving becomes this metaphor for interconnectedness.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Individual strands, yeah, they contribute to that larger whole.
It makes sense visually and conceptually. It also really resonates with his personal story, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he talks about his, quote, mixed genes
Right.
and this quest for his roots.
Yeah.
And that really kind of frames his art as a personal exploration.
Right.
So he lives between Bordeaux, specifically the Saint-Michel neighborhood.
Very multicultural.
Very. And then also Casamance and Senegal. Those are vastly different worlds, seemingly.
Yeah, on the surface.
On the surface, yeah.
Yeah. But what's fascinating is that he draws these parallels between the two.
Yeah.
He talks about the music of words in both places.
The mix of languages, the sounds.
Yeah. And it's constant. So in Bordeaux, he's got Bulgarian, Pular, Portuguese, Sinhala,
Wow.
Togolese, Malagasy, and a whole bunch of Creole languages.
So many.
And in Casamance, Diola is dominant,
Yeah.
which reflects that unique regional identity, right?
Yeah.
But then you have Wolof, serving as what he calls, quote, interest utile, a useful intruder.
I love that phrase.
Yeah.
It's constantly negotiating its place.
And evolving.
Evolving within the linguistic landscape.
It really is, like its own character.
Intrasutile.
Intrasutile.
So vivid. So now we're focusing on Wolof.
Okay.
Kareoba talks about learning this one very specific word, la bière,
Okay.
from Monsieur Ibrahima Thioy's writings.
Hmm.
What's the meaning here?
Well, labier has some real depth. It goes way beyond a simple act of giving.
Okay.
It embodies like a deep generosity of heart.
Okay.
We're talking clemency, tolerance, not just for loved ones,
Right.
but adversaries too.
Interesting.
And it contrasts with like Western individualistic approaches to forgiveness. Kareoba even connects this to André Comte-Sponville
Okay.
and his idea that bringing joy to others things, quote, joy upon joy,
Joy upon joy. I like that.
highlighting that ethical social value that's ingrained in Wolof culture.
So it's not just about giving. It's deeper than that.
Deeper, much deeper.
A whole different way of being. Now, you can really feel Kareoba's emotional connection to Senegal
Definitely.
and to Casamance.
Well, especially Casa.
He even uses the phrase, quote, special heartbeats when talking about the region.
Powerful stuff. His connection to Casamance, it's personal, and it's a clear inspiration for his art.
Right.
And he mentions this series of 10 paintings on wood
BLU.
called BLU,
Yeah.
some of which were shown at the Dakar Biennale.
Wow.
He even says he hopes they capture the spontaneity and emotional truth from his time in Casamance.
I love that.
And then adding to that, the journey itself.
Oh, yeah?
Transporting them by boat.
Oh, from Ziguinchor to Dakar. You can almost feel that influencing the work.
Yeah.
And his description of his most beautiful rainy season where he was painting in Casamance, it's so vivid.
It is.
He talks about exuberant nature.
Yes.
The almost choreographed dance of pirogues,
Right.
the Diola people, peace, the colors of those rain-filled skies, and the bird song.
It's like a symphony.
It really is. It sounds so creatively fertile.
Yeah.
So immersive.
For sure. And for him, Casamance isn't just a backdrop.
No.
He sees it as almost a living thing.
Like a character.
Yeah. With a deep poetry.
Yeah.
And a spirit of rebellion, as he puts it.
And he even compares it to Haitian literary giants like Jacques Roumain and René Depestre.
Yeah, both known for their engagement with social and political themes.
Powerful voice.
Powerful. So it seems Kareoba sees something deeper in Casamance.
Right.
That goes beyond just its beauty.
Beyond.
A connection to resilience and resistance.
Mm-hmm. Now, that connection to literature,
Yeah.
it seems so key to understanding his artistic landscape.
Definitely.
He even says books are, quote, guiding threads and buoys.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not just hobbies, they're fundamental to his creative process.
Yeah.
He calls out Cheikh Hamidou Kane's L'aventure ambiguë
Yes.
as a major influence. Why that novel specifically?
L'Aventure ambiguë. It grapples with these really multifaceted themes that resonate with Kareoba.
Like?
Well, like identity in the face of, cultural clashes.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
The interplay of tradition and modernity.
Okay.
Assimilation.
Which probably has that personal angle for him.
As the son of immigrants, yeah.
Right.
Introspection and religion's role.
Those are all such potent themes.
Yeah, and they shape his perspective as someone navigating these different cultural spaces.
It's about belonging and identity. So his exhibition at the Française,
Right.
with the focus on Wolof words, that wasn't just a random choice.
No, not at all.
He talks about his perspective as an outsider,
Yeah.
his love for the Wolof language, and how, learning is easier with visuals.
Yeah.
It's like a journey within a journey, he says.
Beautiful way to put it. It's about bridging cultures.
Mm-hmm.
Using his art to illuminate this language.
It's translation, but it's more than that.
Deeper. It resonates on a deeper level.
So how does he translate those Wolof words into visual images?
When he talks about capturing the word based on, first, the sound.
The sound.
That sonic texture, yeah. And then the deeper meaning.
So he starts with the sound and then goes to the meaning.
It's an interesting process. He even gives examples, like lep-lep for butterfly.
Oh, yeah.
And sopali for transformation.
Swelly.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
It's intuitive and driven by a sensory connection. He speaks of the freedom he finds in it.
the freedom.
Yeah, and how he's inspired by the cities he lives in. What's also interesting is that he finds these different interpretations of the same word.
From different people.
Exactly. It adds ambiguity
Yeah.
and shows that language is alive,
Yeah.
it's dynamic, it's always evolving.
I like that. So let's look at some specific examples.
Okay, yeah.
He talks about Tan, the vulture,
Mm.
which he sees all the time in Cap and Casamance.
Yeah.
And he brings up this alarming statistic, a 97% decline in Africa's vulture population.
Wow, that's a huge number.
It is. It's like he's weaving those realities into his art.
It's subtle but powerful.
Very. Then there's Pick, the bird, his, quote, imaginary bird,
Right.
allowing for that artistic freedom
Yeah.
and symbolism.
And then Syndax, the lizard, running everywhere, interacting with colors like a child painter.
I love that.
He's really bringing that imagination to life.
Yeah, it sounds like his exploration of language and culture goes beyond L'Aventure ambiguë.
It does, yeah. He also mentions Boubacar Boris Diop's Dumigolo,
Okay.
which makes a case for the role of national languages in shaping identity.
And their integration into education, politics, administration, and literature.
Exactly.
And that really aligns with Kareoba's exploration of Wolof.
Absolutely. Diop's work gives that intellectual and cultural framework for valuing these languages.
It's about preserving those expressions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And he even talks about how frustrating it is to find written Wolof song lyrics, which further emphasizes that need for preservation. So we see his art, his journey, the literature, his observations. They're all connected.
It's all woven together. And then he talks about this, quote, obsession with cultures where patterns and textiles go beyond decoration.
Yeah.
They become narratives, holding memory, identity, connecting generations.
Like visual archives. He calls them narrative textiles.
Oh, I like that. Narrative textiles.
Stories without words. He sees this parallel to his own art,
Interesting.
introducing those threads, but never fully revealing their origin or end, emphasizing the hands that weave these stories.
It's about the transmission. And what's amazing is how many disciplines feed into these traditions.
It's mind-blowing. We're talking astronomy, mathematics, history, anthropology, ethnology, literature, chemistry, symbolism, sociology.
It's a whole universe woven into these patterns.
That gives these great examples, too.
Yeah.
The quipus.
Oh, from the Incas?
Yeah, encoding accounting, calendars, astronomy, communication, through knots, colors, twists, lengths, and spacing.
So intricate.
And then there's the Velvet of Kasai in Raffia from the Democratic Republic of Congo. Its patterns have fascinated mathematicians and ethnologists.
Because of the math.
Yeah, stuff like symmetry, asymmetry, fractal geometry, even graph theory.
Wow. It really makes you look at things differently.
It really does.
So looking ahead, Kareoba talks about his future trajectory and this theme. Ce qui reste de nous. What remains of us?
A powerful concept. What remains of us. It suggests he's continuing to explore identity in a world that's always changing. He mentions he's been rereading Amadou Kourouma's Les Soleils des Indépendances.
Which is about what?
It grapples with a changing world and that search for identity in post-colonial Africa.
Heavy stuff.
Deeply relevant. And he's got 2 new projects that sound really cool.
Tell me.
The first is called Teze Lilubu,
Okay.
an illustration project. It dives into the cosmology of the Lebu people, their connection to the sea.
Fascinating.
The idea is to make those connections between the Lebu, the ocean, and generations visible.
Almost tangible.
Exactly.
And the second project?
That's a large-scale fresco planned for Dakar in 2025.
Okay.
He's going to use clay and pigments.
Interesting choice.
And he's collaborating with Seni Awa Kamara.
A big name in Dayola sculpture.
Huge. Her work represents that raw foundation, those roots.
And he doesn't want to give away too many details.
He's superstitious about it. Doesn't want to jinx it.
It shows his passion, right?
You could feel it. He really believes in this project.
And then he ends with this beautiful image, his life in the villages of Casamance. He compares it to being in a Garcia Marquez novel, quote, 100 years of curiosity.
100 years of curiosity.
It's like he's capturing that magical quality of the region.
The spirit.
The spirit. So we've been on this deep dive into Kareoba's world.
Yeah.
His exploration of identity through art.
His connection to Casamance.
The beauty of the Wolof language.
The interplay of words and images.
And his fascination with those cultural narratives woven into textiles.
Kareoba's journey, his insights, they offer a unique way to look at culture, identity, and expression in our world.
It's been a journey. So to our listeners, a final thought. Think about the music of words around you.
Right.
What languages, what sounds shape your life? What stories are hidden there?
And what about those everyday objects, those art forms in your world?
Could they be encoding those deeper cultural meanings, like those textiles? What threads of history are you part of?
That's a great question to think about.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.